Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, I'll be showing you how to make your very own wooden survival base. Here are all of the materials that you will need to make your house. Please do make sure that you have access to all those materials and enough of them as well. So now that we have all of our stuff, we can get started. The first thing that we have to do is place an oak plank on the ground. Leave a gap of 3 going right of it, so 1, 2 and 3, and on this 4th block place another oak plank. Extend that plank inwards by 2, 1, 2, and then extend that plank to the right by 2 using stripped oak wood. Place 2 back right diagonally placed stripped oak woods, and then extend the second one inwards. Place an oak plank on the end and extend it to the right by 2. 1, 2. All of that sounds rather complicated, but it just ends up looking a little bit like Mario's mustache. Now that we've done this, we actually want to replicate this 3 more times. The way that we'll do this is we'll take the last oak plank that we placed, we'll leave a gap of 3, 1, 2 and 3, and then we'll place an oak plank on the end, extend it inwards by 2, extend it outwards by 2 using the stripped oak wood. We'll then place 2 inward backward diagonals. We'll extend the second one in, and then we'll place an oak plank on the end, and then extend it to the right by 2. 1, 2, and once again that sounds a little bit complicated, but when you take a look at it like this, not so bad. We then take the very last oak wood plank that we place, we leave a gap of 3 once again, 1, 2 and 3, we place an oak plank on the end, we extend it inwards by 2, outwards by 2 using the stripped oak wood, we place 2 back right diagonals and extend the second diagonal inwards, place an oak plank on the end and extend it right by 2. What we then want to do is we want to leave a gap of 3 between this oak plank, which would be 1, 2 and 3 here. We then place an oak plank on the end. We then extend the plank inwards by 2, and then the stripped oak wood to the right by 2, place 2 inward diagonals, extend the second one in by 1, place an oak plank on the end, and then join it back to all the way where we very first started. So hopefully quite an easy pattern to replicate. And once you have replicated this pattern, we want to take every single oak wood plank that we have here and raise them all up by 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I do mean every single oak wood plank, so it is going to take a little while to get it done. This is going to make up the majority of the height of the build. Not all of it, because the roof has a peak, so it is quite tall in the central part of the roof, but for the most part it doesn't get too much taller than this. It actually stands quite nice and tall, and because of the level of detail applied to the build as well, it does actually look quite impressive once you actually get up to it. So in building all of these walls, we will then be able to build the detail between the walls as well, which is very, very important, of course. I'm going to try a little bit of a different technique on this little row of 3. Why don't we try left to right instead of just extending upwards? I don't know whether that was faster or not. It actually felt a little bit slower, so I think that I'll just resume in doing that. So once we have raised all of these up, as I mentioned, we will be building all of the details in between the walls, and there's actually quite a few materials that go into it. We will actually have to swap some out. There's some glass, there's some grass, there's some leaves. It's kind of like a weird mix of materials. There's even some fence, and even later on we'll have some lanterns and seeds and beetroots and all sorts of stuff. So now that we have finally extended all of these rows of oak wood upwards, now I feel as though that we will just let us get all of the materials that we need. And we are missing grass rather bizarrely from here, but we need ourselves the stripped oak wood, maybe the oak wood planks. We will certainly need birchwood slabs. We will need birch fence. We will need glass pane, oak leaves, oak trapdoors. Later on, we'll do all of the seed stuff, so we'll leave that for now. We can grab the lanterns if you want. And we will have also required grass. I have no idea why it's missing from my inventory. That is witchcraft. So now that we have done that, ladies and gentlemen, what we want to do is we want to place oak leaves, and any one of the 4 corners, you can start anywhere because you got to do the same thing 4 times. You want to place a layer of oak leaves around the outside of the bottom of the stripped oak wood. So just like this. I want you to, on top of the central stripped oak wood, place 2 birch fence. 1, 2. I want you to place stripped oak wood on the left and right sides of the fence, extending inwards diagonally. I want you to fill the gaps in on the left and right using glass pane, like this. What I now want you to do is I want you to use your stripped oak wood, and I want you to place stripped oak wood on top of the stripped oak wood and the glass pane that we have in the center part of the build, and I want you to place another layer of stripped oak wood directly on top. So we want to have 2 in total. This is very important because what we will then be able to do is, using birchwood slabs, is place a layer of birchwood slabs around the base of that row of stripped oak and around the top. So you actually get this cool effect here. And just in case you're kind of like wondering, that should be even and level with the leaves down below. So you get the effect of having a whole stripped oak wood row in between, but they're actually 2 half rows. It's kind of cool. So directly above this, what we are going to do is place a stripped oak wood right in the center part of the stripped oak woods. We're going to place 2 birch fence on top of it, 1 and 2, and then we're going to take the 2 inside rows of 3, and we're going to place grass blocks on top of them. So just like this. We're going to place oak trapdoors around the grass blocks like this. And it's just going to help us create kind of like a little bit of a depth effect. You'll even be able to place some lanterns on the corners if you like for light. What we then want to do is place diagonally inwards from the row of stripped oak that we have on the outside. We want to place another stripped oak, extend it up by 2 like this, so it's diagonal like so. And then on the insides of the 2 little farming areas, you can use either oak or you can use the stripped oak or what have you. It's kind of up to you. We want to basically just have something that we can place blocks onto, and we want to place glass pane on the inside of the stripped oak wood that we have in the center, and we want to extend the glass pane outwards in both directions. What we will then want to be able to do is connect that glass pane back to these walls here, and you can further extend the tops of the rows of oak wood inwards like this, so they've actually got something to grip onto, so to speak. What we can then do is we can take the I guess that the best way to describe this is we can take the outer corners of the area that we've kind of made here. That doesn't really make sense. We basically want to take the left and right glass pane blocks, and we want to place 3 stripped oak on top of them. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And we want to also do that with the center block. So 1, 2, 3, if that makes sense. So this is the effect that we're looking for. And what we then want to do is we actually want to place a layer of birchwood slabs that is equal and level to the 2 previous layers of birchwood slabs, except these slabs want to just sit on top of where... Or as a matter of fact, it's actually going to be different. That's my bad. We actually want to place a layer of birchwood slabs that kind of like sits along the outside of the bottom row of stripped oak, and the birchwood slabs will eventually extend across, and they'll all kind of like join together. So we want to have something which should look like this. And I am also going to hoe this land later, and I'm going to place seeds there, but for now, this is what the center part wants to look like. So I do apologize if it is a little bit complicated, and it is, and it will also start to look better once we actually get each one of these sides involved as well. So now that we've done that once, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully it's going to be a little bit easier to do the second time. And I know it's a lot of detail to do, but it's what must be done. So we're going to come to the next side. Let's move around this, and we're going to place leaves around the bottom of the stripped oak wood. We are then going to take the center stripped oak wood, and we're going to place 2 birch fence on top of it. We're going to place stripped oak wood left and right behind the birch fence, and we're going to place glass pane on top of the 2 rows of 2 stripped oak wood, so like this. That's perfect. What we then want to do is we want to place stripped oak wood on top of all of the glass, all of the fence, all of these stripped oak wood, and we actually want to make it 2 rows high like this. We're going to place birch slabs all the way around the base of this, like so. And we want to place birch slabs all the way around the top of it as well, so just like this. What we then want to do is we want to take the center oak wood, stripped oak wood. We want to place one on top with 2 birch fence on top of that. We then want to, behind this, construct a diagonal row of stripped oak wood that is as high as the birch fence. And we also want to place then grass blocks on top of these stripped oak woods like this, extending in from the sides, joining in towards the center. We then want to have oak trapdoors. Not there. We want to have oak trapdoors on the sides of the grass, and we want to have... I'm not doing a good job of this, am I? We want to have lanterns just on the corners, just to provide some light. There we go. We finally got there with the grass blocks. What we're then going to do is behind this, we're going to place stripped oak woods, like this, and we want to place oak wood planks extending inwards from the top, so we want to add an additional row right here. And we want to, what we also have to do is we just have to make that platform around the 2 rows of stripped oak wood, and we just have to place the glass pane joining in towards the center, so we'll have 2 rows of glass pane just like this. So kind of folding in the opposite way as what we have down below. And what we'll then be able to do is we'll be able to take the outer diagonal row of all of this, and we'll be able to place 1, 2, 3 stripped oak wood, 1, 2, 3 stripped oak wood, 1, 2, 3 stripped oak wood, and we can then place birchwood slabs that sits around the bottom of the 3 rows like this, and we'll just have something which should just look exactly like that. So that is perfect. And later on we'll join all of those together, as I said. The only thing that's missing once again is the little farmland that we have created at the top, but there we go. Moving on, we've got to do this 2 more times. So we place the oak leaves around the base of our window frame. We then place a birch fence on top of the center block, 1, 2. We place stripped oak wood inside the 2 diagonal rows of a birch fence, and we place 2 rows of 2 glass pane on top of the 2 rows of 2 stripped oak wood. We then want to place a row of stripped oak wood on top of the glass pane and the fence like this, and we'll place another row on top, so 2 entire rows. We then want to place birchwood slabs around the base and also around the top of it as well. So we just want to have something which should look like this. What we can then do is we can take the center, we can extend it up by 1 on top and place 2 birch fence on top of that. We can place some grass blocks on top of the remaining stripped oaks like that. And we can place stripped oak wood behind the grass. We then want to take the stripped oak wood behind the diagonal row of birch fence. We want to extend it up by 2. And we want to place 2 rows of glass, extending inwards and joining, once we have raised up the 2 sides using oak planks, we want to extend inwards and join them towards the center, and then we want to take the diagonal row of the stripped oak and the glass, and we want to raise it up by 3 rows, which will basically just join the entire top together. And finally, we want to place a layer of birchwood slabs that sit around the top of the stripped oak wood like this. And oh, of course, how could we forget the little details? We also want to place the oak trap doors around the grass blocks like this. We want to place lanterns on the 2 corners. I'm really bad at placing these trapdoors today. And we'll have something which should look like that. And now we only have this to do 1 more time. So one final time this particular bit of detail, and I'm hoping that this is the hardest part of the build, ladies and gentlemen. Hoping that this is the hardest part. We're going to place oak leaves around the base of this, so all the way around the base of the stripped oak. We'll place 2 fence on top of the central block. We want to place stripped oak wood behind the fence in the 2 corners, and we want to place 2 rows of glass pane on top of the stripped oak wood, like this. We then want to place stripped oak wood on top of all of the glass and on top of the stripped oak wood, and we want to place 2 rows on top, so in total 2 rows. We want to place birchwood slabs around the base of this like so, and also around the top of this as well. Fantastic. Next, we will take the central block here, we'll place a stripped oak wood, 2 birch fence on top like this. We then want to fill the 3 remaining spots on the left and right in with grass, like this. Then oak trap doors on the sides of the grass, so we want it completely unexposed. We then want to place lanterns on the 2 corners to provide a little bit of light, and we also have to place a central row of stripped oak wood that is diagonally behind the middle row. We then just have to kind of like fill around this in once more using some stripped oak wood or oak wood, whatever you want to use really, and we want to place 2 rows of glass pane extending inwards and joining to the middle, but of course we have to raise up the oak planks around it so that it all joins together. Next, we have to take the outward diagonal row of the glass and the central stripped oak, and we want to place 3 rows on top. We then want to place birchwood slabs around the base of the stripped oak like this, and we'll have something which should look exactly like that. So I'm actually pretty happy with how that's turned out, ladies and gentlemen, and now as you can see, it's all just nicely joined together. So what else do we have to do? We have to join all of these pairs of birchwood slabs that we placed earlier together. We extend these slabs outwards, we extend the slabs inwards, and then it's basically just extending the slabs in and up until they eventually join together in the middle, which they will, just like this. They create little mini roofs that kind of like decorate the top half of the house. We want to do this on all 4 of the sides, no matter what particular side there is. You'll find that there's 2 sides to this build. There's 4, but there's 2 varieties. So, there's a side where you have to enter the house on the 2nd floor, and there's a side where you will be able to enter the house on the ground floor. You'll find as we keep keep building this, which sides will be which. As a matter of fact, you can actually access the ground floor on all 4 sides, but there's only 2 sides in which you can enter the 2nd floor. So this is what we want to have so far. Pretty happy with that. So the next thing that we have to do is we probably have to add additional details to each one of the 4 sides of the house. As I mentioned, this detail is actually going to be a bit different depending upon the side that you're choosing. So I would recommend that you find which side you want the front of your house to be. Let's say that this is the front side of my house. This is what I've designated to choose as the front. So, as the front of my house, it's going to be a bit different than the other sides. From the bottoms of the pairs of the oak planks, I'm going to place 1, 2, 3 oak wood planks extending upwards from both of the bottom pairs of oak planks. I'm then going to place a pair of... I then want to grab oak wood stairs, and I want to place upside down oak wood stairs extending inwards from both sides like this. I want to take the birchwood slabs that we have on the left and right side of the build above the windows, and I want to extend those birchwood slabs across, and I want them to connect over the door frame like this. I want to take the left and the right sides of the birchwood slabs, and I want to extend them outwards each by 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just like this. We're then going to make kind of like the little roof effect that we have up above. So we'll be extending the birchwood slabs inwards and upwards on both sides until we eventually form a peak like this. What we will then do is we will take the first birchwood planks that we have here, and we want to join them down to the ground. We actually want to use oak fence for this, and we also want to use birchwood planks. We'll place 2 oak fence, 1, 2, underneath the 2 side birchwood planks, and then we'll join them down to the ground properly using birch planks like this. Oak fence and birch planks. We'll then be taking the end of the birchwood slab roof area, and we'll be extending it 2 rows backwards. So just to create a just kind of like a much more solid kind of like entranceway, we just want to have something like this. It just looks a little bit chunkier, and it just looks kind of nice, really. I quite like how that looks. What are we going to do to the area above this entranceway? Well, first of all, let's place an entire row of oakwood planks here. So an entire row of oakwood planks behind the birchwood slabs. What we're then going to do is we are going to place 4 rows of birch fence on top of this. Actually, it's behind it. So I want you to extend the oakwood planks backwards, and I want you to place a row of 1, 2, 3, 4 birch fence like this on the back row of oak planks. So it wants to look exactly like that. What we then have to do is we have to, on the outside portion of this, where the top row of birch fences, we want to place oakwood stairs extending inwards, upside down ones. We then want to place oak planks on top of the fence, or on top of the upside down oakwood stairs, and then another row of oak planks on top like this, so you get this really cool effect. We then want to place a layer of glass on top of the planks, and then a singular glass right at the tippity top like this. We then want to place oakwood planks on top of the 2 side glass on top of the 2 side glass panes, and then the central block, I believe later on, will actually be, funnily enough, a birchwood plank. So this is what we want to have, and I'm sorry if that was a little bit weird to follow, but it's actually kind of complicated to do. So that's what we want to have, and then when it comes down to it, like, this entranceway here will lead you into the bottom of the build, so you don't really have to get too much more crazy than that. We're going to come to the opposite side of the build, and we're actually going to replicate that. Like I said, there's 4 sides to this build, but there's only 2 varieties. So on this side of the build, literally the exact same thing. Let's do it. Grab the oakwood planks and place 2 rows of 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3 oakwood planks extending upwards on both sides. I want you to extend the birchwood slabs that we have on the left and right of us as well. I want you to extend them forwards and join them up on top of the oak planks. I want you to take the 2 corners of the birch slabs and extend them forwards each by 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to extend the birchwood slabs inwards and upwards until they eventually join together at a peak. We will then take the birchwood planks that we have near the bottoms of the roof, and we'll place oak fence underneath them, and we will join them down to the ground using birchwood planks like this. What we will then do is take the birchwood slabs that we kind of have and the birchwood planks for the roof, and we'll extend them backwards by 2 rows. Once again, it just makes it look, I don't know what word other than, like, reinforced. It makes it look chunkier. I think it's a little bit better than just having 1 singular row. It looks a little bit better in my opinion. We're going to use the oakwood stairs, and we're going to place 2 upside down oakwood stairs inside the 2 corners here. We want to place oakwood planks directly behind the slab layer like this, so we're once again depth, depth, depth. And what we are then going to do is we are going to, and I did just notice that we missed something on the other side, so that's it's good that I realized we'll be doing something else on this side as well that we haven't done on the other side, but we will do on the other side as well. What a confusing sentence. We're going to place a row of oak planks behind the row of oak planks that we just placed, and we're going to place 4 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of birch fence behind. What that will allow us to do is then place upside down oakwood stairs in front of the top 2 corners of birch fence, place oakwood planks on top of them like this, add another row of oakwood planks, add a row of glass pane on top of the oak planks, and then take the center one and extend it upwards. Place oak planks left and right of the glass pane like this, and then I'm pretty sure that we place birchwood planks on top, and I do say pretty sure. Not 100%, but I'm pretty sure that's the very top of the roof there. So, we're then going to grab a birchwood slabs, and this is what we didn't do. This actually does... There's so many roof designs on this. Basically, we're going to take the two upper inward pairs of birchwood slabs that we have just like where these planters are. We're going to extend them forward so they overhang one row, and then we're going to extend the birch slabs inwards and upwards, and we're going to create yet another roof effect. So just like this, I find that it just adds something to the house. Like I think it looks kind of cool. I think it looks great just like this, by the way, but there's just something about this just like additional kind of like little mini roof. It feels a little bit more detailed. It feels as though that it's kind of like blended into the house a little bit more. Maybe I'm crazy, but that's how I feel about it. I think it looks pretty cool like that. So that is those sides of the build complete. So that leaves us two sides remaining. So on these sides, as I mentioned, it is a little bit different. These sides will actually allow you access into the second floor. That's what's unique about them. You can get in to the ground level on all four sides. I was wrong about that. All four sides you can get in, but on two sides you can get into the upper level. So on the two remaining sides, which should be opposite each other, we're going to once again start off by placing a row. Actually, it's a bit... We want to place rows of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 oak wood planks, 1, 2, 3, 4, extending from the bottoms. We then want to take each side of this and we want to extend them outwards by 4 as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. We're then going to extend down and outwards until we have kind of like a bridge effect. That's exactly what we're after. We want to have kind of like a little bridge effect like this. What we are then going to do is underneath this, we're going to place upside down oak wood stairs underneath underneath the row of 3 oak wood planks, and on the left side here, we're going to place a row of 3 oak wood planks joining a corner like this, so an archway. We want the same thing on the opposite side, so if you just fill in underneath here and then place 2 upside down oak wood stairs, then you'll have a pretty cool effect. I really like how that looks. And we're going to be using some birch fence here, and we're just going to be placing some birch fence to kind of like, we might even make it so that it kind of like smooths out. So we want birch fence on top of the oak planks, but we might actually make it so that the birch fence actually is like it's all, it looks... I don't know, once again, it's kind of like a more solid, more reinforced looking row of fence this way, rather than just having kind of like the diagonal pattern that we typically would. I actually quite like it like that. I'm quite happy with that. What else do we want to do? So the purpose for this, as I mentioned, is to get up into the middle part of the house. So if we come to the very end here, and I'm going to choose the left side, it doesn't matter either left or right side, we're going to need our old pal. We won't need grass for a while, but we do need birchwood stairs. On the left side here, I'm going to place a row of 1, 2, 3, 4 birchwood stairs extending upwards. I'm going to place a row of oak wood planks to the right of the stairs like this, and birch fence on top of the oak planks. I'm then going to come all the way to the inside part of the build here. So, where is it that I want the second floor to be? I actually want the second floor to be where the stripped oak is, so here, and the floor is going to be made out of birchwood planks. So can you see? This is, there we go, that's perfect. That's exactly what we want. So where we have the birchwood planks, I actually want to turn, the left side here can be a birchwood plank, but these 2 right blocks, I want them to be oak wood planks. And I want to take the left plank here and I want to extend it upwards by 1, 2, 3. Like this. We don't have to do more than 3, and then we can join it to the right. We're going to fill the right side of that in using glass pane, and we're going to turn the birch plank here into a birchwood stair, and then another one extending downwards. What we will then be able to do is place a row of birchwood planks extending back inside of this kind of like a walkway that we have created here, and we're going to extend the birchwood planks backwards. And I'm just going to fill just behind this in using oak planks, although later on I might change that. But that's what we want to have, ladies and gentlemen. We want to have this sort of effect right here. I want to be able to place a doorway here too, so later on I want, well, not even a doorway really. I'm not even interested in having any doors, but we can certainly create like a frame in which a door could go if we wanted to, and that's kind of what we want to have. Later on, what we'll also do is we'll those are not planks. We will want to join the birchwood slabs backwards and the birchwood planks of these roofs backwards, and we also kind of want to fill in behind these roofs using oak planks like this. So we just want to make it so that it all joins together rather nicely. So that's what we have here. Honestly, I mean, we don't really have to do too much. I'd recommend perhaps filling in underneath these stairs here. You might want to add upside down stairs like this, but it's a very minute detail. We can add some leaves and stuff to it later, perhaps a lantern, but for now, pretty happy with that, how that's turned out. So hopefully that's been easy enough to do. We want to come over to the other side and we want to do the same thing, literally the exact same thing, ladies and gentlemen. So on this other side, we'll start on the outer parts again, and we'll place a row of 1, 2, 3, 4 oak planks and 1, 2, 3, 4 oak planks. We'll take the tops and we'll extend them towards us, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I want to take those 4th blocks and I want to extend them down and outwards like this. So down and outwards until they eventually hit the ground. I want to fill the inside parts of these in using oak planks, and I want to place upside down oak stairs underneath these 2 parts to make archways. We have to make a set of stairs, which will be birchwood stairs in rows of 4, like this, extending up the inside. We then want to use birch fence on top of the oak planks, and we want to create a solid fortified railing. So we want to have something which should look like this. Rather than the flimsy looking thing that we would typically have, I want to have something which should look like that. We can connect the 4th birch stair to the right using a row of oak planks, and we can place upside down birch stairs underneath the staircase that we created. We of course want to place birch fence on top of the 2 oak planks that we created there, and we also have to figure out how to get into the 2nd floor once again. But hopefully that's quite easy to remember. We'll actually do it properly this time. We'll take this stripped oak wood that we have here and we'll place a birch stair next to it. We'll then place 2 oak planks to the right of that. We'll take the left oak plank, extend it upwards by 3, join together to the left and the right to create a T shape, and on the right side we want to place glass pane. We're going to extend the oak planks upwards like this, and then we're going to take the birch slabs and there's that central plank as well. We want to, it would have actually been easier to, actually no, it's easy enough to do it anyway, but we want to take these blocks and we want to join them to the inside here. There we go. And we want to have something which should look like that, which is pretty good. What we will then be able to do is place birchwood planks like this, just inside of this little walkway, this little corridor right here. We want to be able to place oak planks underneath here. And then that will just give us, that sets us up nicely for later on. Oh, of course, the birchwood stair, how could I forget? So we just need another stair here so that we can actually walk in. And hopefully, I mean, you guys will know that this is where the 2nd floor will be. This is the area. So you can fill in the 2nd floor if you like using your birchwood planks, just like this. You're probably going to want to get rid of any excess blocks that you may find. You won't really, unless you're not bothered about the birchwood sticking to the fence, because it's majoritively covered up anyway. You can have it extend all the way to the sides, or you can kind of fence it off using some oak fence if you want to. More than welcome to do that if you like. And that leaves us like a pretty decent sized area for the 2nd floor of the house, which we'll be able to get everything that we want into it. So this is what we have so far, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, it's not looking too bad whatsoever. So what do I want to do? I think I want to do the grounds of this before I tackle the roof. So I think that we're going to do exactly that. What do I mean by the grounds? Well, let's get rid of all this stuff for the moment. And let's actually get stuff as well that we are going to be using. So for instance, we're going to be using lanterns later on. We may need the grass block because I'm going to mess up. We'll need a hoe, we'll need seeds, we'll need a shovel, we'll need leaves, we'll need birchwood slabs, and maybe other stuff, I'm not quite sure. Later on we will also be needing birch fence, and we will be needing oak trapdoors, but that's actually a lot later on actually. But what do we want to do from here? What's the point of all of the stuff that I just gathered? So we have to create kind of like a walkway that goes all the way around the house, and I'm finding the best way to do it, to be quite honest. So first of all, let's start off with a wooden shovel. Okay, I'm gonna make a grass path in between one of the entrances here, and I want to place an area of grass path that goes all the way around the inside. It wants to follow the shape that we have for kind of like the circular part of the house. We want to have a row of connecting grass that sits inside of the grass path like this, and we just want to have one row that kind of like goes all the way around the outside of it, just like this. So a reason why I think that this house is rather successful is because it does kind of like always adhere to that circular shape. Like the house isn't, you know, necessarily circular as you take the whole thing in. You know, there's plenty of angles and stuff, but it always comes back to this circular shape. So that is seen with this grass path that we have just added. We also want to use leaves. So the way that we're actually going to use leaves is a little bit interesting in the fact that we want to place a row of leaves that leaves a gap of 1 around the grass path like this. And the leaves just want to basically make it so you've got kind of like a... Did I do that wrong? Oh no, I did the grass path wrong. My bad. So the grass path would be here, which would mean that this block doesn't have to exist here. Yeah, that's right. So that's what the grass is for. Okay, perfect. There we go. And then that leaf would have to be there. Perfect. Okay, so if you notice that you've made any mistakes like I did, very minor mistake there, you're just going to have to sort it out. But yeah, we've got the row of grass, got a grass path in between, another row of grass, and then we've got leaves, still maintaining that row. And the leaves will actually join to the sides of the walkway as well that we've kind of created, making sure that I do this very, very carefully. So, oh no. Okay, so here, it will actually go through like this. We'll go through and then we'll just dig it out as we have to. Let's just start off with the big shape. It's actually taking a little bit of concentration doing this, ladies and gentlemen. It's hard to not mess this up. So here, and then this might be the last part that we have to do. Just maintain that distance of 1. That's all that's important. So maintain just that distance, and then this should connect. So hopefully you guys see what I'm talking about. We've got the row of oak leaves that just kind of goes around in a circle, and then we're going to take the birchwood planks that we have on both sides of like the main entrance, the ground floor entrances that has like the fancy overhanging roof. We're actually going to place, we'll make it 3 rows of birchwood planks actually. So we'll have 2 rows of birchwood planks extending inwards from the initial row of birchwood planks. We'll extend them 2 rows inwards, and then we will dig out the middle like this, and then we want to place a birchwood slabs around the, is that right? Yeah, I guess it is. And then we want to place birchwood slabs around the outside of the leaves, and that kind of completes it. So it actually looks pretty cool like this. It really does feel like a barrier. It really does feel like a wall, a fence. It's just kind of cool. I really like how it looks, and it's once again kind of like using all of the materials that we have at our disposal. So you could even use oak if you wanted to. If you wanted to contrast, you'd absolutely be able to do that. But birch seems to fit with me because we use oak for the two stairways and it joins to those, so it kind of, you get that nice blend. But it also kind of like follows and fits to the kind of like the overhangs that we have. And there you go. It just looks a lot more. It just looks a little bit better that way, in my opinion. So I really like how that looks. What else do we want to do? I was thinking about taking this area here where we have the two staircases, and I was thinking about making it so that there's a less exposed oak wood, kind of like this. I was thinking about it, maybe something like this. So I think that equates to kind of like adding, yeah, basically just adding an extra diagonal row of planks. I think that it might look a little bit better instead of having so much fence. I was kind of looking at it as we were going around and doing all of like kind of the little garden work, I suppose that you could call it. And I just think it'd look a little bit better if there was a little bit less exposed fence. And I'm quite happy with that. What else do we want to do? Well, the grass paths have to, of course, lead into... They kind of like have to lead out of the house and into the house as well. So you can extend the paths where necessary in and out the house. You can even make a bit of an archway on the inside here. Maybe you could even like have like an extended tunnel, kind of like this. This might look a little bit goofy. Let's have a look. Yeah, I don't quite like that. Maybe... I'm not sure if I like that whatsoever, but yeah, maybe you could have an extended tunnel, or maybe you could just have it like at the end. I think that looks alright, and we'll do the same on the opposite side here, so it'll be here, and here we want to use the shovel, and the shovel, we can actually have a grass path that kind of like runs through the entire middle of the house like this, and it wants to extend it outwards. We want to have a grass path that leads to the in between the two entrances here. You could even add flowers and all sorts of stuff too, but yeah, we kind of just want to mark out where you're going to be going. It does actually crisscross. There we go. So just adding grass path, I mean that it does actually crisscross. I mean, this is essentially a farm, all of this area inside at the bottom. This is where I like to keep all of the animals, and having the grass path all connect and join together, I mean, it just looks a little bit more pleasant to me. When it comes to the grass that we have on the upper levels, so that's kind of like built into the sides of the house, feel free to put what you want in there, but I like beetroot because beetroot is red and green. It's a nice, vibrant color. It contrasts completely against the wood tones. I mean, completely. I mean, red versus the kind of like the two beige and sandy colors that we have. I mean, you know, it couldn't be a more stark contrast, really. So that's why I like using beetroot a lot for these particular parts. And I'm quite happy with how that has turned out, ladies and gentlemen. Quite happy indeed. So what do we want to do next? Well, we have to add a little bit of leaves to just the parts inside the house here. So like where you would walk up into the house, we just have to add leaves, just like this, to the two walkway areas like that. We have to add the roof. So the roof is kind of like big. The roof is majoritively made out of, it's kind of interesting actually, it's majoritively made out of birchwood slabs, a little bit of birchwood plank, and some oak trapdoors, oddly enough. But later on we will also be needing birch fence, we'll be needing the lanterns. We will also be needing material that I actually forgot to include, but it will be in the item list, is glowstone. So, when it comes to the roofs, there are 4 sides to the roofs. They all kind of like join together in the middle, and the way that you would do it, let's start on this side where we already have the frame of the roof. So, I want you to place, extending downwards from the birchwood plank that we have at the top, I want you to extend that birchwood plank outwards using birchwood slabs, and I want you to extend it 1 row forwards like this, the entire thing. I then want you to take the birchwood slabs that we have on the left and right, and I want you to extend these slabs down and left. Down and left. So I want you to do this on both sides kind of equally. I'm not 100% certain how low down the roof is going to go. It might go as low as... it may go as low, or we may stop it as here. So, okay, we'll line the bottom of the roof up with where we have the birchwood slabs on the outside like this, and then that actually works out perfectly because you'll be able to notice this. It's kind of interesting. You extend it down and left, down and left, down and left on both sides, so you can see it's actually quite like a low roof. It's a very I guess it's not an isosceles triangle, or is it? I actually don't know. I don't know the term of that triangle, but that's the shape that we want. And then you'll be able to take the corners. Once the corners are as low as the birchwood slabs that we have like running central around the top of the build, you want to extend the birchwood slabs up and inwards again. So we can actually go around the build this way. When the birchwood slabs eventually reach the point in which they are even and level with the middle part of the house like this on any side, whenever it's in the middle, you want to start going down again. So down and left, down and left, down and left. So hopefully you can see how this kind of works out. So it wants to go as low down as the birchwood slabs that we have here, and then you want to change direction. The roof's essentially a square, pretty much. I mean, I don't see how else to say it is. The roof is pretty much square. And as we take a look from the top here, so we want to now start extending down, and when we eventually take a look at it from the top, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So here, it wants to come down a little bit more, so it comes out as far as these previous roofs, it comes as down as far as the previous like little roofs that kind of like go or flow around the top of the build. And then we want to change direction. We want to make a steep right angle, or make a sharp right angle, I should say, and we just want to have something which should look like this. And then finally, we've just got to join this down. I can already see it on the left side over there. We just have to join it down like this. Perfect. So it will end up looking exactly like that, which I'm pretty happy with. I really like how that looks. And what I'm going to do is this is a little bit unique for the roof for me. First, I'm going to join the roof together at the top using a crisscross pattern. So basically just kind of like all of the birchwood planks kind of like converging on a singular point to make kind of like a cross like this, just all the way up at the top. Perfect. That's what we want. But I also want all of the birchwood planks to join together on each particular side. So it'll actually look like this, and you might be able to see this easier once I've actually done a side. So I want you to extend the birchwood planks so that they kind of form this shape. You can see it's kind of hard to see because it doesn't contrast on itself very well, but it kind of like makes arrow shapes, and we want to just join all of the planks inwards, coming towards the center, almost as if they're all pointing towards the center, quite honestly. And we just want to do that. When it comes to the third layer of birch planks, you will find that it joins to the stripped oak wood that we have, and that's perfectly fine. That's what it wants to do. So you can see it's a really cool effect. I really like it. I've never done this particular that will not want to be a slab later on. I've never done this particular roof before, I don't think. It's quite unique for me. I really like it, and I've never used again, I don't think I've made so many builds, I mean, I may forget. I've never really incorporated properly like trapdoors into the roof. Like, it ends up looking really, really cool. Like, it's a two-tone roof, but not with colors that you usually see. Like, oak trapdoors are completely different to oak planks. Like, the color is a stark difference, and it's really cool to see like the birch and the trapdoors come together in something that isn't rather typical. So there we go. That's what we want for the roof, and you can see it really does add a whole level of grandeur to the build. It is really, really cool. We want to fill in between all of these gaps in using oak trapdoors, as I alluded to. It's pretty much just in between all of the gaps that we have. I like to use the trapdoors, and you could even play... No, you can't. Never mind. You can just place them like this, and I realized that we have the stripped oak woods kind of like in our way there, but it doesn't really matter. It's not getting in anybody's way. You'd only see it if you somehow got a bird's eye view of the roof, which you could absolutely do, especially in survival, of course. But but this is how the roof ends up looking, and I just think it's really, really interesting. I mean, maybe you don't like it. If you don't like this, by the way, if you hate how that looks somehow, just use birch. You can simply just continue, just extend these slabs backwards. So instead of just extending the planks and connecting together, just use slabs as well. But again, I think that this is really cool. And from below, I mean, again, it's just like getting an interesting texture, getting a different texture. It'd be quite easy to see. I mean, it's just kind of cool to look at from below as well. Instead of doing the same sort of thing over and over and over again, I just thought it'd be interesting to have something a bit different. But what else do we have to do? We do have a little bit more to do after this. So I do suspect that we have to do a little bit of work under the roof. Depending upon where it connects to the house, we may have to add a little bit of detail there. But the reason that we have the glowstone is because on each one of the 4 corners, we're going to have a hanging glowstone light. And we'll also add some lanterns as well, hanging off the build. The lanterns are very important. It keeps this place nice and bright and light, which is a reason that we used all of these light materials. There's a reason we didn't use spruce or dark oak or whatever. Oh, and also, let me see. Perfect, yeah. You don't want to have, like, on some parts you may have had the extra birch slab here. That doesn't want to be a thing, so we just want to have something which should look like that. Very, very happy with it. I'm having a look underneath the roofs, by the way. Yep, there we go, perfect. So, on particular parts of the roof, parts of the roof, we want to just fill underneath of them in. So that's actually fine. These sides, it's just these sides where you're just going to have to add an extra row of oak planks there. And that's just fantastic. That's fine. So that leaves us with this. What else do we want to do? Well, I already said it. We're going to add some lanterns. The lanterns are going to hang from the roof that is just below this, that kind of flows through the entire middle of the house. So they're just going to hang off the 2 kind of like edges of the little mini roofs that we have, and that'll just keep things nice and bright. You could even have one hanging on the, like, where the 2nd floor of the house, you can have one hanging inside. So if this was dark, I mean, this would be rather well lit up. I'd be quite happy with how light this was. But we're going to take the 4 corners of the roof, the large roof that we've made. We'll place 1, 2, 3 birch fence underneath. We'll place a glowstone underneath that, and then we'll place oak trapdoors around the glowstone. So like this here, here, and here. So you can use birch or you can use oak. The reason that I like to use birch instead of oak, and oak would be a contrast, you'd be right in saying that, but we're using oak trapdoors. So that already contrasts against the birch. We have the glowstone, which contrasts against everything. I don't think there's anything that glowstone really goes with. I like the idea that the birch wood or the birch fence kind of looks as though that it's one with the roof, and it just naturally hangs down. I mean, it just looks like an extension of the roof. So that's just me. I am doing such a bad job, but I've lost my ability to place trapdoors. I don't know what's going on. So here, and we just have this side as well, and then we can take a good look at this. Actually, we probably won't be taking a look until I do the inside. The inside's very simple, by the way. The one that I've designed is anyway. I would highly recommend you get way more inventive than I do when it comes to showing you the inside. But this is what we have so far. I'm very, very happy with this. Yeah, I'd actually this is how I would leave the outside. If you want to add flowers, I would absolutely recommend adding them if you want to. Add some flowers, maybe around this portion here. Maybe not closest to the house, but the outer portion you absolutely could to add a little bit of colour. But this is the house. It's big. It's kind of like imposing. It feels like a real base. It looks pretty good. The only thing that we have yet to do is do the inside, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to go away. I'm going to fill the entire inside in with stuff. I'm going to build the inside for you, maybe just for a little bit of inspiration, just to show you how it all looks when it all comes together. And if it inspires you, that'd be fantastic. If not, then it just gives you an idea of how much room you're dealing with. So I'll go away. I'm going to do the inside, and then I'll show you the end result of this house once it is 100% fully completed. Back in a moment. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is what your house will look like once it has been 100% fully completed. As you can see, nothing has really changed with the outside, but if we were to head inside through one of the 4 passageways, you will see that now on the ground level we have an indoor farm featuring chickens, we have a cow, we have a pig, and we even have a sheep as well. If we head back outside and we head upstairs, which is only available one of 2 ways, on the left or right side of the build, then we would see a survival themed interior which has everything that we could possibly want, ranging from smelting to enchanting to crafting to brewing to storage to absolutely anything that we could possibly want. So as you can see, it's a pretty decent sized house. It's very malleable, you can do whatever you want to it, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed building it as much as I enjoyed building it and designing it. That's it! I hope that you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please do remember to hit that like button, as it really helps me and the channel out very, very much. If you're new around here, please do consider subscribing and clicking that little bell next to the subscription button. That'll ensure that you get all my stuff sent directly to your sub box. And if you do want to make anything else by me, check out the card system description below in the top of the comment section for more. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I love you all very much, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.